All right, well, welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. Well, another attempt to find ways to encourage our citizens to take their health seriously. The Medical Association is hosting its annual medical research conference looking at the metabolic syndrome in the Caribbean with specific emphasis on non-communicable diseases. How does this translate? Well, today we have Professor Dilip Dan, who's a professor of minimal invasive surgery, and we also have Dr. Liane Dan, Doctor of Emergency Physician. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you all?
Good morning. Thank you very much.
So you all have this big conference. Tell us a little bit about what is expected this year.
Sure. Well, this year, this is the 23rd annual conference of the TTMA, that's the Trinidad and Tobago Medical Association. We've partnered up with Professor Dilip Dan this year, the president of the Caribbean Obesity Society. Right, as well as with University of West Indies. And the focus this year is going to be on something called, the theme is the scourge of the non-communicable diseases. These are things like diabetes, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, cardiovascular disease, and even cancer as well. So what Professor Dan has done, we've come together and we've invited, I think it was 15 speakers, all from all over the world and the region as well. Very prestigious professors and speakers, and they're going to come and present on different aspects of these diseases. And these are diseases that are plaguing society now, right? And they're called non-communicable diseases, meaning that these are not diseases you can pass like the common cold or viruses or whatnot, right? So the top 4 non-communicable diseases are the one I just mentioned: diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, the different types of cancers, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. One of the major ones that affect our particular society is diabetes, and that's probably one of the forefronts we're looking at now, right? In fact, in the population, in Trinidad and Tobago's population of people working from 30 years old to 70 years old, so this is the working population, you know, 46% of the deaths, people dying every year, right? 46 of people dying they die from these types of diseases, right? And that's almost half the population dying, right? And these are very preventable lifestyle diseases. So these are diseases that can be, prevented by simple changes. I mean, just doing simple things, paying attention to what you eat, being more active, and paying attention to your family history, right? And I mean, if you look at the typical working age person nowadays, right? This is somebody who works in an office somewhere, probably administrative or something. They have a sedentary lifestyle. They work maybe a 9-to-5 job. They have family, they have kids and whatnot. We don't really exercise. We have a high-calorie diet, all right? And maybe some of them are smokers as well. And unfortunately, in our population, we do tend to have a high incidence of family history of these diseases, of any of these 4 diseases. And in fact, if you look at these statistics, as compared to global incidence of diabetes, Trinidad and Tobago, our incidence of diabetes, right, diabetes alone, not even talking about the other 3 diseases, is almost twice that of global rates. So we're talking the UK, US, Australia, Canada, and so on, right? So in 2011, Professor Tilak Singh and Dr. Batson from University of West Indies, they did a study, and they found that the obesity rates in children now, not just adults, the rates and incidence of obesity in children is almost 6 times that of the global obesity rate. So that's not even diabetes now. We're talking just simple obesity, children being overweight or being grossly overweight. And that's almost 6 times that of global rates, right? And we have preteens now, kids who are now going to write common entrance, they're going to enter Form 1, Form 2, and they're becoming obese. They're being overweight, and they're becoming obese as well. So this is something that's very alarming and something we thought we should focus on in this conference. And Professor Dan has a lot to say about it as well. So, I mean...
Yeah, that's startling,
it
actually.
It
is startling. Yeah. What do you think is contributing to this? I mean, yes, you mentioned that our lifestyle, we are busy. We are busybodies. We do not make time to exercise.
Of course.
We are eating a lot of high calorie and that kind of thing in terms of buying fast food because we don't have time to cook.
Exactly.
Yes.
We don't have time to invest in mothers and fathers are out working, trying to make ends meet because of the economic situation. Children, they are unsupervised, so they eat whatever it is they can find out there. Where do we even begin to address this?
This is a major problem, not just in Trinidad, unfortunately, it's all over the world. We see this as a problem in the US, in the UK, wherever it is, it's high. The incidence of obesity is extremely high, and it is predominantly lifestyle. We've become, yes, you say busy, but we've become lazy as well, and we choose to buy fast food. We use an elevator instead of a stair. We park the closest we can to get to there are no playgrounds available for kids to go on. It's not safe to go and play anyway. So the entire and we have a genetic predisposition, especially the East Indian population, for chronic disease, diabetes especially. And our diet is far from what it should be. We eat a lot of oil, flour, and fried foods. And I mean, our staple is doubles and KFC, unfortunately. So we are set up for disaster.
So how do we begin to put some structure in our lives? How do we begin? Where do we start?
Well, I mean, it starts with public education,
right.
And this is part of what we're doing here. And it has to start in the schools by educating our little kids from as small as they are about healthy living and healthy lifestyle. But we can't just leave it like that. The parents must be educated, because if they're in a situation where they're forced to live a certain way, you have to educate the parents as well. It has to be a national education system that will deal with the future. But we have a major problem as it is existing at this point, in terms of the 20% of our population, adult population, are diabetics. And with that comes significant economic burden, and I know it's the budget time, so it's a significant economic burden to the country. I mean, in the amount of $1 billion US per year of money or expenditure on diabetes and its complications, cardiac disease and strokes and diabetic feet and so on, infections. So we're talking about not just lifestyle and shortening our life and expectancy, but also a big economic burden on the country.
Now let's talk a little bit about exercise in terms of how much hours of exercise should we get on average for the week or for the day?
Well, according to the American Heart Association, minimum recommended exercise requirements for an adult actually would be at least 30 minutes per day, if not per day, at least 3 times per week, of aerobic exercise, simple walking around the park. Professor Dan mentioned parking too close. So simple thing as parking on the far spots of the car park and walking to where you work, that counts. All these things count and they add up. Right. Just like how the negative effects of eating add up, the positive effects also add up as well.
Now, in terms of sweating, how important is sweating? Because the gyms are highly air conditioned. How effective is that?
Well, sweating is a byproduct of your metabolic process in the body. You're breaking down your calories and you're expending energy. So sweating is a bit of a subjective term per se, because right now we're in an air-conditioned office, so we could be doing push-ups and we won't be sweating. So it's not really about sweating, it's more about the activity levels you can achieve. And starting off with something simple as walking for 10-15 minutes per day alone can significantly cut your risk for heart disease and strokes and diabetes by as much as 10-15%, as and that's simple. That's something you can do. Joining a gym it is ideal, but not everybody can do it. There isn't always a gym nearby. Not everyone can afford a gym membership. But like I said, just walking alone, getting active, doing yard work, doing chores. Not just sitting down on your phone or your tablet all day long after you come home from work, Getting involved with your kids, bring your kids to the park, like Dr. Dan said. You bring your kids and play with them for half an hour. That alone can cut your risk by a significant amount.
All right, so when we talk about health, we usually talk about portions of fruits and vegetables, which is something that is missing almost entirely from the average Trinidadian diet on a daily basis. How much in terms of fruits should we consume on a daily basis, and also vegetables?
Well, I'll let the expert.
Well, I'm not an expert in nutrition, but and that's not what we do. But certainly, you want to have at least 2 to 3 portions of fruit. But fruit has calories, and if one is looking at weight loss, one cannot consume too many calories after a certain time when you cannot burn it out. So it's recommended you shouldn't really have too many fruits after. In fact, you shouldn't have fruits at all after 2-3 p.m. And all your fruits should be in the morning so that you can burn it during the day. But I just want to I mean, I know we're talking about healthy lifestyle, but I mentioned just now we have a major problem at present with 20% of our population being diabetic. And I just wanted to introduce a new concept of treating diabetes, which we look at as treating with diet and exercise and medications, insulin if needed. However, the conference is going to talk about a significant aspect of it will be about surgery in the cure of diabetes, or putting diabetes in remission with surgery. It's called metabolic surgery. And it is surgery designed to reverse diabetes. And a big portion of the conference, the entire Saturday, will be geared towards talking about metabolic surgery and treating and reversing the metabolic disorders that we have. Now, yes, primary healthcare is important, and that is what we need. But as I said, we have a major catastrophe at present, and we have to also look at that, because that is draining the economy at the other end.
Well, I've never heard about metabolic surgery or to treat diabetes. Could you provide us with a little more information? How is this a recent thing? Is it?
Well, it is recent enough in that maybe the terminology started in around 2007. So it is well accepted. In fact, it is acceptable by by all international associations, including the American Diabetes Association, which is the latest and the biggest community to accept it. But now it's a big proponent of metabolic surgery as a potential cure for diabetes. And we're talking of diabetes, most diabetic patients are overweight or obese. So this is the population we're looking at. And it's really type 2 diabetes, not type 1 diabetes. And it is geared towards changing the hormonal balance within the intestine. And that now is seen as the major causative factor in obese patients to create diabetes. It's the central obesity and the hormonal changes that occur with it. And by rearranging the intestine, we can change the hormonal milieu within the gut. And that increases improves diabetes. And so quickly, within about a week of surgery, you can reverse your diabetes completely.
So this is a permanent fix?
It is permanent in that it gives you about 80% success rate. But there is a 1% recurrence per year. So by 20 years, it may drop to about 50 to 60% complete resolution of diabetes.
Is it currently practiced in Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes,
is it a new element?
It is in all sectors. It used to be well established in the hospitals, but we have some economic challenges, and that has created a little challenge getting it done.
All right, in our closing minute, can you give us some more information on this medical research annual conference that you're having in terms of the date, who can register, what is registration fees like, and that kind of thing?
Sure. Well, the dates of the conference is going to be Saturday the 30th of September and October the 1st. It's a 2-day conference. It's going to be held at the Hilton Conference Room.
From 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
8 to 4, right? Registration fees, I believe, are $400 for on site. And if anyone wants information, they can always go to the Trinidad and Tobago Medical Association website and Facebook page as well.
And this event is open to anyone who wants to attend?
It is open to anyone, but it is mainly for healthcare professionals. However, it's open to the public as well. And I think the public is a much reduced fee, and medical students and other healthcare students are at a much reduced fee.
All right, great. Well, it was definitely a pleasure having you on this morning, educating the public, something that we definitely need to take heed of.